Hello, good evening. Gary Gettle, psychologist, psychotherapist. It's Sunday evening, the 1st of June. Happy 1st of June if you celebrate 1st of June for any reason. So I'm here on my balcony in Lausanne. I've just had a thunderstorm. That was an interesting way to start my live broadcast in French. So tonight is a special night because it's Sunday, and Sunday is hypnosis or guided meditation, depending on what you appreciate most. I do the same thing, but for some it's a hypnosis, and others it's a guided meditation. Anyway, that's the way it is. As you can see, it's called Little Bear Discovers Winter. It's a hypnosis that I created this week for a patient that was in a difficult moment. And what actually happened this evening as I was about to start, it suddenly occurred to me that this story is not totally new. And so I did a bit of research and I realized it's a story that I read for one of my children many, many years ago. So I must admit to being inspired on some level, to some degree, by this story. And the story is called When Will It Be Spring? By Catherine Walters, which is a beautiful story. And if you have little ones, it's nice to look at it, read it. It's one of these nice little stories. Anyway, I read it, and obviously somewhere in my unconscious I integrated it, and I've used it this week with my patients. So it's not 100% my own invention, and I need to validate where I got the inspiration from. So why did I create this story? I created this story because my patient is rather depressed, and I try and find ways to help my patients to deal with their depression and to have a little bit of courage for the future. So that's the inspiration behind it. And I hope you find it interesting, amusing, and even maybe helpful. Oh yeah, I forgot to say. It's weird, these life things, because you got things to say and then you got things to do, and it's a bit stressful. And so please, if you're don't do this, don't listen to this if you're well, you can listen to it if you're active, because you don't have to close your eyes and relax. You can listen to it just like a story if you wish. So you can either sit down, lay down, stand up, or you could just do things and listen to it as a story. But obviously, if you're doing something, keep your eyes open and just take it for that. Okay, so let's try starting again, shall we? Autumn came. It was Baby Bear's first autumn. It was his first year. He watched as the leaves turned to brown and started to fall. The birds started to leave, to fly. He was told it was south, whatever. And he was eating berries and more berries and more berries, because he was told he needed to eat lots and lots of berries, because that'll make him able to sleep through the winter. But he didn't know what the winter was. He'd heard of it, but he'd never seen it. He was only a baby. So he ate and ate his berries, and he watched as the days became shorter and shorter. The nights became longer. The sun was less present, getting colder, damp, humid, until one day his mother said, "It's time to sleep. Into the cave, let's go." And so in they went, father, mother, brothers, sisters, and into the cave they went. They'll just lay there, go to sleep, and soon it'll be the spring. It was a bit sad to leave the day, and like many young kids, he didn't want to go to sleep. He didn't want to miss out on what could be interesting and fun. But his mother was very clear, and everybody else started to lay down and go to sleep. And so he did. And he slept. And he seemed to sleep for quite a long time. And then after a while he woke up and thought, maybe it's already spring. Let me go out and have a look. So he went to the edge of the cave, and it was dark. He went out and see the night sky. There must have been clouds because he couldn't see any stars. It was dark, and it was miserable, and it was cold, and it felt empty. And he came back and he thought maybe he should ask his mother when spring will come. Why isn't he here yet? But somehow I was a bit scared to wake her up because she was sleeping. So, a little sad, he went back to his cave, back to his corner, and settled down. He started to think. It seemed a long time. But his mother was quite clear that autumn will pass and spring would come. And he believed his mother. So even if it was a long time, and even if it was dark, and even if he started to feel a bit lonely, he's sure it would be okay. Sure this would pass. So he lay down, curled himself in the ball, and went back to sleep. And he'd wake up from time to time and go to the edge of the cave, and it would often be dark. He started to feel sad and lost and lonely, that this winter was lasting so long, so long. So he went back to his spot, and he didn't want to be near them because it didn't feel right. He felt he wanted to be away, further away, and he felt lost and sad and lonely and helpless. He was just a baby bear. He was so small. There was nothing to him. Couldn't do anything by himself. And maybe they were asleep, and maybe not. Who knows? And his mother did promise that spring would come, and yet it hadn't come. And he started to question, started to ask, what was happening? Why was it taking so long? He started to feel sad and lonely and helpless. And so he rolled himself into a little ball and fell asleep. The next time he woke up, it was the day. It was lighter. Thought maybe the spring would come. But when he went out, all he could see was the rain. And the rain made him feel even more sad, even more lost. Heavy clouds that reflected his own sadness, his own emptiness. The trees he could see now were all bare. The leaves had all died and fallen to the ground. And the rain travelled down the empty branches and dripped to the floor. Even the trees were crying. And he felt more and more lost, more and more alone, more and more helpless. The rain expressed his sadness, and he started to lose hope. He started to lose faith. His mother had promised the spring would come, but it hadn't. It was still grey, it was still wet, it was very cold. Had she lied to him? Would there be nothing else after? He remembered spring a bit. He was born in the spring. And he remembered the summer. But maybe they will not come again. He didn't know. All he could feel was this emptiness and helplessness and sadness. He went back into the cave. He went further away from his family. Somehow he felt they had rejected him. Just by not being there, by not waking up. He just hoped they would wake up. Maybe if he sat there for a while, they would wake up, they would feel him. So he sat down near his parents and he waited. And he waited for them to wake up, for them to look after him, to protect him, to help him, to make him feel better in this empty space. But they didn't wake up. They didn't move. And after a while, he started to feel tired again. Tired and empty and lonely and lost. And so again, he took more distance and went to lay down. Please, please, spring come. Please let it be true. Please let there be a spring again. And he started to cry. And he cried himself to sleep. All alone. All sad. And he slept for a while. Yes, he did sleep for a while. And then, again he woke up. And he walked towards the mouth of the cave. And there was light. Bright, bright light. Hooray! He said. Hooray! The spring has come. Here is the spring. At last, the spring had come. His hopes had gone up and down and up and down, and at last, there was the spring. And so he ran out the cave. But it wasn't the spring. The light that he saw was the cold winter sun shining off the snow. This cold white thing that was everywhere on the branches of the trees and all across all the fields. Everything was covered and it was so cold and he felt so empty. This whole world was empty, cold and empty. Nothing moved. There was no animals to be seen, no birds. You couldn't even see the grass moving because there was no grass. There was only snow. And everything looked so big and so vast and so huge. As far as the eye could see, all you could see was white and emptiness and death and cold. So small, so helpless, so alone. The sadness that comes after having hoped for something so much and thinking that at last it was here is the most painful sadness of all. And now he was convinced that spring will never ever come, that he would be alone forever. And that's it. That's all there would be. This cold, white, shiny emptiness. That's all. And so he dragged himself back into the cave. He didn't look at his family because maybe they were dead. Maybe that's it. Maybe it was all finished. Maybe somehow bears only live for 1 year. Of course, there were his parents and his brothers, and they were supposed to have been there for years, but he was only a baby. He didn't understand these things. And he was more than disappointed. He felt so helpless, so alone. And he didn't want to believe in spring anymore. He'd believed in it too much. It caused him too much pain, too much suffering. And he wanted to end that pain. He wanted to end that suffering. He wanted to end his loneliness. I think I should die. If I die, I won't feel so cold anymore. I won't feel alone. It'll be end. It'll be finished. And so he laid himself down once again to sleep. Far, far from the others, he dragged himself into the furthest corner of the cave. There was nothing else. There was nothing more. Only death would release him from his pain, from his suffering, from his loneliness, from this huge, empty, helpless feeling that he had. After all these tries, all these expectations, all these hopes that spring would come, but it didn't. It wasn't there. And so, exhausted, lost, empty, curled up into a ball, hoping to die. But of course, he didn't die. He fell asleep because he was exhausted, so exhausted. And he slept, and he slept, and he slept, until he felt something gentle, something stroking him. "Wake up, little one." It sounded like his mother, but maybe it was a ghost. Maybe they were dead. He'd heard of ghosts. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he was a ghost. "Come on now, wake up." He didn't dare to open his eyes, but she was insistent. So he turned over and he looked up, and there was the smiling face of his mother. "Come on, sleepyhead. Everybody else is outside." "Why outside? Why do you want to go outside?" "Why, you to see the sun. The spring has come." "I don't believe you," he said. "I don't believe the spring will ever come. I just want to lay here and be dead, because there's no spring." "Come on now," she said. And she took him by the paw and she led him outside. And what did he see outside? Outside there was the sun, and it was warm, and it was dry. And all the snow had gone, it all melted. And the grass had started to grow, and even some flowers. And then the birds were singing. The birds had returned. And the tree was budding. The leaves were not quite there yet, but they would come. And he could smell the spring. He could smell the freshness in the air. And there was his brothers and his sisters already running and jumping and shouting. "The spring is here." "Yes, of course the spring is here. I told you the spring would come. But I woke up, and I kept waking up, and the spring wasn't here yet." "Silly, you just had to go back to sleep and wait and have patience." That's the way things are in life. In life there are cycles. Sometimes it's the summer, and then the summer passes, and then it's the winter. And it can be cold and sad and lonely and empty, and things can be difficult. But sooner or later, most of the time, the world turns. The seasons change. Good things come back. You need to trust. You need to be optimistic. As you grow older, you get more mature. You will know these things. You will know that even in the darkest part of the cave, even in the coldest part of winter, even in the blackest of night, that is not how things will stay. Nothing stays. Everything changes. Everything moves. Sometimes there will be autumn, and things become tired. Time for things to finish. Time for things to end. And then winter will come. And if you go out in winter, you'll see the snow. It's beautiful. It was cold. It was empty. Yes, everything is asleep. The earth is asleep. And the blanket of snow, like every blanket, is there to cover, and keep it warm and keep it safe. Until again, it's spring. And then spring is here, and that takes us forward again in life. You have to trust. You have to be optimistic. You have to be positive. Things don't always go well. Things don't always change for the better. But most of the time, it can, and it will. You just have to trust. Trust in life. Trust in the future. And things will go well. And there we are. Just a little story, a little moment to reflect that sometimes life is difficult, life is hard, that we feel empty, we feel helpless, we feel deeply alone, and we feel that nothing will ever get better. We'll never get out of this winter, of this coldness, this emptiness, this famine. And yet, many of us do. And so many patients that have been in the deepest, darkest night of drug addiction or alcohol addiction or just really, really deep depression. And they've come out. It takes time. It doesn't happen straight away. But they would start walking forward. They would go forward. They would start to trust. And when you start to trust, when you start to have a bit of optimism, that gives you the energy to move forward. And as you move forward, things can get better. So if you or someone close to you is feeling depressed, is feeling alone, is feeling helpless, is feeling exhausted, don't give up hope. Because hope is the most important medication you can have. Hope and optimism. And me, I'm the eternal optimist. So I have optimism to share. Well, so that's the end of this session. Thank you for your time. Hope you have a great week. And that's my phone saying it's time to go. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.